Now let's turn our attention to Angola. This is an oil-rich country in southern Africa, and it is witnessing deadly protests over fuel prices. Earlier this month, the government decided to hike the price of diesel by a third. This spurred off and on demonstrations, and this happened over the month. But this week, the protests flared. Thousands of people have taken to the streets in the capital, Luanda. They have clashed with the police. There are reports of rampant looting and destruction of property. At least 4 people have died and 500 have been arrested. This is the most disruptive protest the country has seen in recent years. So is this anger just about fuel price hikes? Why does the government want to do it in the first place? Also, if Angola has black gold wealth, why does it remain largely impoverished? Here's a report.
Fuel, expensive. Taxes, expensive. Life, difficult. As thousands march in Angola, this summarizes their anger. It all began earlier this month, when the Southern African country's government made a contentious decision. They announced plans to raise the price of diesel by more than 33%. This was part of a long-running government drive to cut costly subsidies and shore up public finances. But the problems for ordinary citizens began to snowball. From higher fares for Angolans who rely on public transport to increase in prices of staple foods. With this, anger surged too. Over the past month, people have taken to the streets off and on. But on Monday, taxi drivers declared a 3-day strike. And soon, this escalated into one of the most disruptive protests Angola has seen in recent years.
This is where we say enough is enough. We can't accept having to change course one day. Every time this happens, we won't stop, we'll carry on.
More than 2,000 people have taken to the streets in capital Luanda. Roads have been blocked, with burning cars and tires scattered around. Shops have been destroyed. Looting is rampant. Gunfire has been reported. The police have clashed with protesters, fired tear gas and smoke grenades. At least 4 people have been killed, and at least 500 arrested. But rising fuel prices haven't fueled public anger alone. People are fed up with the rising cost of living, and the ruling People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola Party.
The people are suffering. The cost of living keeps rising and we don't know what it will be like in a few days' time.
MPLA has ruled Angola since its independence from Portugal in 1975. And for years, it had a good run. After all, Angola is an oil-rich nation. It is one of the biggest oil producers in Africa. Since the turn of the century, for about a decade, oil was driving Angola's booming economy. 4 years, its GDP surged by several hundred%. But soon the growth slumped. Economic woes persisted. And despite the oil wealth, Angola remains impoverished. This country is heavily reliant on oil extraction. The petroleum industry accounts for almost 75% of the country's revenues. But there are 2 problems here. First, this limits the sources of income for its people. Secondly, much of the resource pool is untapped, estimated at 9 billion barrels of crude oil reserves. Because Angola has crude oil, but can't process it, it doesn't have enough refineries. This means Angola spends more than $2 billion every year on petroleum imports. Meanwhile, oil accounts for more than 95% of its goods exports. But despite this, there are economic challenges. The biggest one is corruption. Angola is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. There are not enough jobs. Unemployment is close to 60%. And food insecurity persists, with 46 children dying of malnutrition each day. So there is widespread discontent against the MPLA party. But Angolan President João Lourenço claims that the protesters are using price rises to undermine the government. Amid his disregard, can public anger put pressure on the government to change its mind? If not, as the frustrations spill over, will they reach boiling point this time?